So we spent a little bit of time trying to figure out what's going on with Jim Harbaugh. Tom Pelissero, the NFL Network, he broke the news that Harbaugh is going to fly into Minnesota. Like now it gets real. You know, it's one thing if, hey, I'm hearing maybe he's reaching out to the Raiders or vice versa, and now you have him going to Minnesota. Now this changes things, or it feels a little bit more real. But don't take my word. Take Sam Webb's word for it. He's the publisher of the MichiganInsider.com on 24/7 Sports, morning show host of Sports Talk 1050, The Ticket. Sam joins us now. Sam, thanks for joining us on short notice. So Jim Harbaugh going to Minnesota means what to you?
It means that he's serious about this job. You're right, Dan, that this is different than past sort of, I think, media-driven storylines. I don't think that Jim Harbaugh really pursued this in years past, but make no mistake, he is going after this job. He could have silenced this quickly. He didn't. I think there's a message in that. And that this is so public that he is going to Minnesota at a time where he is trying to hire a defensive coordinator. I know a lot of people are making a big deal about him traveling there on National Signing Day. They aren't signing any prospects coming up on Wednesday, but it is transfer portal time. There are things that you're doing to prepare for spring ball, to prepare roster management, right? His focus is on Minnesota. He is going there to get this job that makes this different. And everyone that I talk to, whether they be around Ann Arbor, agents in the NFL that I talk to, they all expect that if the Minnesota Vikings offer Jim Harbaugh this job, he will take it.
I thought Michigan was his dream job. He did, like what has transpired here in the last 12 months?
Yeah, man, it's funny. I get that question a lot, and look, I can only try to get in Jim Harbaugh's head so much. I don't know him as well as his family or his friends that have been around him his entire life, but I've gotten to know him as well as a media member could get to know him over the past 7 years. And what I could say is when he came to town, it was like he was the Prince of Zamunda. They were throwing the rose petals at his feet, right? And you get 6 years into the process, you have real adversity, and you have the people who anointed you from day one sort of turning on you. And it sort of reminds you that while you came home and this is your place, this is a job, and support can erode here like it erodes anywhere. So being on the precipice of losing your job has a way of sort of reminding you or giving you that perspective. I think it's that. I think that realizing that there might be another opportunity that's better for him personally. There might be a situation that's better for his family. The window will never be wider than it is now. He's coming off his biggest success at Michigan. There are a slew of teams, or were a slew of teams that he had connections to. The iron is never going to be hotter than it is now. He's 58 now. It only gets harder to get an NFL job after this. So I think the convergence of all of those things makes this an ideal time. And while I think he's loyal to Michigan, he loves Michigan, I think probably in his mind, he will say, I got him back. I got him back to being in the picture in the national title hunt. I left it better than I found it. Now I can do something that might be better for me personally, might be better for my family. I think that's how he's probably looking at it.
But the irony of this is, Sam, he beat Ohio State, and because he beat Ohio State, he became a little bit more of a hot candidate. If he loses to Ohio State, then it's same old story. He beats Ohio State, and that might be the reason why he's back, on the front burner.
It is ironic. It's ironic in that, his name was out there last year like it had never been before, and there were no real takers. But again, I think it's also the case that in this cycle, you just mentioned he's this hot name. I think it's all relative. I think it's hot relative to what he was last year when there were no takers. Now, how many jobs did you have open? 8? And while Jim Harbaugh's name was attached to a bunch of these jobs in the media, you talk to NFL people and his name wasn't like really in the mix for all these jobs. Why is this? People keep asking, why is he dragging this out so long? You take it out as long as it takes for a team to show real interest, right? So this is the team showing real interest. It happens to be in the 23rd hour. It's related to Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah getting that job, a guy that he worked with in San Francisco. So this, I think, even more so, even as much as beating Ohio State puts you on the radar, it's also, I think, really revealing that it took to this point in this cycle for him to get a real taker. I think that's another reason why, if you're him, man, you better jump on this train while it's here.
Is Jim Harbaugh coaching Minnesota or Michigan next season?
I think that's all about what Minnesota wants to do. If Minnesota offers him that job, I really believe he will take it.
Okay.
I think it's a prime opportunity. I think he's confident in where he left it. I think he probably sees a successor on his staff. He probably will speak up for one of them, I imagine, before he goes. So I think he's feeling pretty good about Michigan State and about Michigan's state. And then I think with that, it gives him comfort in moving on to the next thing for him. So because this is what I can't quantify, I don't know if they're going to offer him the job. It seems like it's leaning that way. People I talk to say that he's Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah's number one target. If that's the case and he knocks this interview out of the park and they offer him the job, he will take it.
Good stuff, Sam. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dan. Appreciate it.
That's Sam Webb, publisher of the MichiganInsider.com, 24/7 Sports, and morning show host of Sports Talk 1050.